What's going on?
I'm dying a slow, painful death.
1,000 cuts, huh?
Oh God. Well, they just keep on piling it on here, and the steps are done very poor, and the contracting officer, I can't talk to her. All I could do is emails, and I'm overwhelmed with emails and information now about how to correct this. But the last email that she just sent this morning, about 10 minutes ago, said, I'm very concerned about your ability to complete this project.
Yeah, so the next step is going to be something like a show cause notice. And a show cause notice is going to explain the deficiencies from their perspective and require that you provide a plan to correct the deficiencies within 10 days. And if you don't, they're going to terminate your contract for default. So this is, you're getting into very serious territory, as serious as, the contracting procedures work. My suggestion at this point is the same as yesterday. Get in touch with your subcontractor, let him understand. Even send him a copy of what you've been sent, so that he knows that the power of the federal government is going to be coming after the both of you guys. Um, did you have the conversation with him yesterday?
Yes, I did. And he was driving and couldn't look at the document that was sent. But really, the structural integrity of the steps is fine. He built them fine. He sent me a bunch of photos and the framework. What he did is he grouted the front of it, or he put some sort of, and he tapered it from bottom to top. So it's wide at the bottom and narrow at the top. And it kind of just smeared it on there, and it looks unprofessional. So I think that there's a solution if the government would accept it, and they got to grind that off, and they got to do some things of that nature. But just understanding where we're at in this, because they could come after me. A guy could go out there, and it could be 50 grand to fix, and they would come after me for that, wouldn't they?
Well, is this a bonded job?
No.
Well, if you didn't provide a bond, then there's nothing they can come after you for. I mean, if if you're talking about doing nothing, then you're out the 17,000. You're not going to get any money from the federal government, and you're going to get a termination for default, which means that if you want to continue as a federal contractor, you have to start another company.
Okay. So I could stop the hemorrhaging at this moment, but okay, I don't want to do that. I want to continue. I want to get over with this one and learn from it and
Well,
grow. Okay, so
if you want to move forward, then the answer is, you got to leverage this guy, you know, even if you have to spend a few $100s to just file a lawsuit, well, actually, did you write a subcontract agreement, did you use our purchase order or our subcontract agreement?
I didn't use the 50-page one or
Yeah, but
whatever it
use
was. I
the
just
two page. But actually, as I'm saying that, I'm remembering that that's for him going after you. I mean, there's nothing that prevents you from going after him. But I mean, it's got to have a heart-to-heart conversation that, look, we got two choices here. You either go out and correct it to the government's satisfaction, or I go get another team to go in there and do it to the government's satisfaction, and then whatever those costs are, I have to come after you for them. Whatever means and methodologies that means. And, he can, this isn't personal, this is just business.
yes. I'm a rookie.
Well, I don't really think that this is a rookie or an amateur mistake. You just got a subcontractor that did subpar work. This happened over my career, um, and you know, it's everybody's. chance to put their big boy pants on and deal with it.
There's a solution here. Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to say there's a solution. I'm going to say that there's options. Okay.
Yeah.
And you know, I hate that this happened to you. You know, there's just nothing that, from, my perspective, that I can do to, quote, solve this. I can just coach you through it.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
There's about 2 people on the planet that understand. I talked to my father and I talked to you. The rest of the people don't really understand. What's going on.
Honestly, you just hit the nail on the head, because I tell people all the time that, your best friend can't help you. That's why I answer my phone 18 hours a day. Even as I'm laying in bed, if I can hear it ring, I answer it. Because people in this business, there's nobody they can turn to. That your best friend can say, "Oh man, that sucks, dude," but he can't offer you perspective or options.
That's what he says.
Yeah.
Well, he's an electrical contractor, and he told me before I got into this, he said, "You're going to have problems." He says, "I have problems with contractors all the time." He says, "They're going to do shitty work. They're going to walk on you. They're going to do this." And then now he's saying, "That sucks."
Yeah. That's the great thing about me sitting here, just ready to help people, is because I understand. I've been there, and I can tell you how we handled particular situations before. I can give you options, but ultimately the end result, you have to live with the end results. And I was telling Elda the other day, Elda and I go for walks about every other day, sometimes every day. And we were walking the other day, and I said, you know, it's interesting that people call me for advice or perspective or what should I do now. And I said, I get to play the game at a higher level. She said, what do you mean by that? I said, well, I don't have to live with the results. Like, it's not my money, okay? And because of that, I can play the game at a higher level, even if I get it wrong. 95% of the time, I'm going to get it right.
Yeah.
And that's going to benefit everybody that I interact with. And every once in a while, even though I'm playing the game at a high level, I'm going to take a risk or two, and it might not end out with a result that everybody wants.
Yep.
But because I don't have skin in the game, I can, tell you exactly what I would do as if it were my problem. And in this particular case, I mean, I can't tell you how many. It's an uncomfortable situation. I can't tell you how many times I've been in that situation where I have to have a conversation with some guy and say, "Hey, man, this is the way it is. You either redo this to the government's satisfaction, or we're coming after you for whatever those costs are."
Yeah. Well, so we're running into a time frame crunch because the weather has changed. They can pour concrete, I think, to really below zero, but he's got like 2 or 3 sections that he's got to repair. He's going to have to tear them out and pour concrete, and it's the time frame to do this is like today, and I don't know if this guy has the ability to.
Well, I mean, then the answer is you have 10 days to correct these deficiencies, and if they're not corrected within 10 days, we're going to hire another contractor, and all the costs are going to be deducted from your contract. And if that ends up costing more than what we paid and what your contract is, we'll be coming after you for it. And just make sure you document the hell out of it. And I don't care if you have to get a contractor from 3 states away. you're going to recoup those costs in the lawsuit. He's going to settle the lawsuit for the cost.
Oh my God. Okay.
Seriously, you just hire a business attorney and you tell him, here's what the issue is, and he's going to say, you write a demand letter, okay, and then if he doesn't respond to the demand letter, you just turn around and you sue him. I mean, it's a real simple process. It's been done thousands and hundreds of thousands of times before, and it's not that. And then what he's going to get with his attorney, the attorney's going to look at the documentation. And he's going to say, "Motherfucker, you need to settle this thing." He's going to win.
Yeah, I just have the simple PO with him, and it says right on there, per the scope of work completed. It says right, I forget the exact words, but
Well, it should say to the satisfaction of the government.
yeah, it says all documents, all things, whatever your language is in there, per this contract agreement, and he has all of that. Yeah.
That's right.
So,
So I mean, it's a real simple deal, and that's just the way it is.
yeah. Okay, so I need a path forward. I need to have he needs to solve this. He has 10 days to solve this, or else I need to hire a contractor to
But
get it
put it in
done.
writing, okay?
Yeah, I'll have a conversation with him, and then I'll follow up with an email.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Sometimes you get into this things and you're like, oh man, this is easy, this is great, and then problems happen.
Yeah, but look, it's just business, okay? It's just part of the process. I'll just tell you this. My best friend down here in Austin owns a local, well, it's really state of Texas, but he does construction. And I had dinner with him when he got involved in this construction company, and I said, "You guys have a really good lawyer, don't you?" He was talking about a problem. He said, "Yeah, we got a great one. In fact, the owner of the company, his brother's an attorney." And I said, "That's because construction companies, like general construction companies, not federal, they get sued and sue 10 times a year. It's like part of their business. And subcontractors, I'll bet you that guy's got a good attorney that he relies on. And so you just say, do you want me to serve you or serve your attorney? Who's your attorney?
Okay.
And then you'll get attorney's fees in the settlement. Because
Yeah,
he didn't fulfill his contract. I mean, this is standard stuff. You talk to any business attorney, anyone, find the cheapest one you can, $300 an hour or something.
yeah, no, I got a guy.
Okay, yeah, and you just tell him how much to. I'll send you tell him I'll send the demand letter, but I want to know how much to get them served, and in your experience, how fast do these things settle?
Yeah, they don't go to court.
No,
They don't
not like
they don't.
this. Not, I mean, you have an overabundance of evidence that he screwed up.
Yeah, there's you're talking about 20-30 grand here. You're not talking about $10 million, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I've been through these things before, and in the hotel game, and
yeah,
after everybody calms down a little bit with all their emotions, they just say, "All right,
yeah,
I just want to move on with life." So,
yeah.
all right, yeah, I've had two or three of these things, and when the attorneys get involved, it gets goes to the next level. But my attorney gets me to think logically versus emotionally,
Oh yeah,
and,
they're
and
very
comes
good at that.
yeah. We had a hotel, and uh, a long-term business client noticed 70 grand, They paid us every month, and then they stopped paying us for a month. And then I kicked him out after like 8 weeks. And then I had to go to court over it. Yeah, or we didn't have to go to court. I got my attorney, he got his attorney, and like a week later it was like, all right.
Yeah, smart business people don't want to spend money on attorneys.
Yeah, I play golf with him. He's been our attorney for 20 years. But all right, I got to have a conversation with my guy out in Montana. At the end of the day, he's got to fix the deficiencies.
Yep.
That's the moral of the story. Okay.
Yep, the job has been inspected, and here's the list of deficiencies. You have 10 days to correct them. That kind of thing.
Yep. Okay. Very good. I'm going to call him right now.
Yep. All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.